Hey guys, Chris Semafall here and Mike Matassa here too. Hey Mike.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. A little tired with a long morning, but I'm doing good.
So Mike Matassa, big promoter for amazing bodybuilding shows. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I think this question is interesting for our followers, for athletes who are watching right now our podcast.
Well, I will do the best that I can to answer them. Can't promise you're gonna like all the answers or I'll have an answer for everything, but I can usually find an answer.
How many shows you're doing every year?
Right now it's 4. Hopefully going to a 5th show. We have the Iron Life Classic, the NPC Iron Life, which is in May in Daytona Beach. And then we have the granddaddy of my shows, which is the Daytona Beach Classic and the Daytona Pro, which is September 27th, usually the last weekend of September every year. This is our 16th year for that show. And then we have the Monster Classic, which is going to be relocated to Ocala, Florida. So, and then hopefully, with Tyler's blessing, we're waiting for the approval, we're gonna have the East Coast Naturals, be an all-natural show all by itself in Daytona Beach, hopefully for 26, so we'll see what happens. So technically 4, right? But, you know, hopefully a 5th.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, and how many years you already doing?
Well, we started the Daytona in 2010 was our first year. That was the first year I was given a show to promote, and our district chairperson at that time, Pete Francher, was, you know, he was hesitant. I said, "Don't be hesitant. You know me. Come on, give me a chance." And we went from having 45 competitors the first show. I think Tony and myself, Tony co-promoted, Tony Curtis was my co-promoter. He's now the district chair of the North. We co-promoted that show, and I think we split $20 that first year. Yeah, but it was, you know, hey, we split $20. We didn't lose a lot of money, any money. So, and then from there we went from, you know, to a peak of last year with the Pro Masters and the Pro. We had over 400 competitors at the Daytona show. So it's grown well over the past 16 years, you know?
Okay, so how did you get into promoting bodybuilding shows?
Oh my gosh. So I started bodybuilding in '94, back in the old days, when like 8 or 9 people a year turned pro. I gave it a shot, came in second, almost got my pro card. And then in 2001, I got sick really, really badly with a intestinal infection, and it really knocked me down.
So sorry.
And it really took me out of bodybuilding, took me from training. You know, I was actually getting ready for the USAs that year, and it was the best condition I've ever been in. And I probably would have won my class, I think, and got my pro card. But I went from 198 pounds to 143 in like 2 months. And they couldn't figure it out. Finally, they figured out it was a bad bacteria infection that kills most people, and I was lucky. And I really didn't excel again in the gym for almost 9 years. And I think I stepped back on stage like in 2010. But in the interim, that's when I got into, since I couldn't compete anymore and I was getting a little bit better, approached my chairman and I tested, became a judge, started judging. And then from the judging part, I'm looking at the shows going, you know, I think I can do a better job than what's being put out right now. I think I can produce a better product. And after a couple of years of waiting, I got the thumbs up to do it, and that's the history of it. That's how I got into it, and I've just excelled with it and been fortunate enough to be successful and be given an opportunity for more shows and eventually with the pro show. So it's very exciting. You know, it's something that when you can't compete anymore, and you know, you're judging and you want to do a little bit more and you want to just see you can do a better product than somebody else, you get into the production of it. So that's,
oh my gosh.
yeah. And when you develop a passion for the sport, you know, and that's what's missing from a lot of people. You know, it's about the sport. It's about how you love the sport and giving back to the athletes and giving back to the spectators and things like that. And that's why I think the difference is, you know?
Never give up.
No, never. In any way, right? Whether it's competing, training, or promoting,
Yeah.
Exactly. Even judging, right? Even judging, it's just like, if I'm not judging, I'm watching a show, it's live streamed by you guys or whoever, and I'm sitting there and I'm judging just with Steve and Bill and Mo and Sandy. I'm sitting in my room judging with them, keeping my eyes sharp, so to be able to get that next opportunity to keep it going,
What inspired you to start Daytona
Oh my-
Pro? About the story.
Basically, it was a point that I thought, I didn't have a chance to get to that pro level myself as a competitor. I came so close, and I think, well, the next best thing for me is let me do a pro show. And I was fortunate enough with the support of Pete and Tyler and Jim Mannion, they said, let's give Mike a shot. And I started off with just the men's physique and some masters. And from that, it's just grown into what it is. The peak of it, we had at one point, we had like, I think, over 300 pros. Daytona became probably one of the second or third biggest shows in the country, behind Arnold, Olympia, Tampa Pro. And we had a really good sponsor. And unfortunately, we lost the sponsor last year. But I kept the classes available, and I took on the financial burden myself to still be able to do the women's physique and the figure, the bikini, and the men's physique in all the pro master divisions. And unfortunately, with the loss of the sponsor, I just couldn't do that this year. So the show is going to be a little bit smaller this year. But the feedback I've got from a lot of the pros is that since we're 2 weeks before the Olympia, a lot of people want to test their physiques out.
Of course.
So I think it's going to be like a little mini Olympia for men's physique and bikini. And we're going to have some great pro masters in classic men's physique and in the women's bikini. So
How many pro cars?
no pro cards. So this isn't a qualifier. It's not a pro qualifier. It's a qualifier for the Mr. Olympia in men's physique, bikini.
Yeah.
And then it's a qualifier for 2027 for the Masters Olympia, bikini, classic, and men's physique.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, no pro cards yet. Eventually, Tyler, Jim, I want to do a pro qualifier sometimes. I can do it. So I just got to get the okay, the blessing from Pittsburgh, and I would love to dabble in that as well and bring what I do to the table.
What makes your shows different from others?
Well, I think what I touched on is the passion. Being a former competitor, being on that stage, being backstage, how people get treated and stuff. Are you just a number? Are you a competitor? Are you a person?
Yeah.
What are you? You're somebody who's hopefully we want to fall in love with the sport like we have and help the sport grow. So I think that's the biggest thing I bring to the table is my passion for the sport and for the athlete and to put on a quality show for the spectators. So when they get there, they get their money's worth with everything.
Yeah, I remember it's amazing atmosphere.
Yeah, it is. It's very exciting. You can feel it as soon as you walk into the expo even, I mean, for me, it's about giving back to the competitors as much as I can. I try to have the biggest goodie bags possible, whether I get it from all the different companies or I go into my own pocket to fill them up myself. I think they deserve something. They're paying to be here, and I want to be able to give something back to them.
What do you love most about being promoter?
Watching the faces of some of the lives that we change as they get on stage, from someone who's either true novice and works their way up, and we see them win an overall, and they go on to the next level and get their pro card, and just the feedback from them saying thank you so much for making this available, and watching them fall in love with the sport that we love so much. I think that's the biggest thing, they feel that passion and they give it back to us, and that's phenomenal.
So now we have a new division.
Yes, we do.
So what do you think about this division and what the criteria?
I think it's really good. Back in the old days, we had bodybuilding, and then I think we added fitness and figure, and then we continued to develop and grow and everything, and it took a long time to add anything else in there. But, not everybody wants to have the same physique as a bodybuilder or whatever. And when bikini started, I thought that was phenomenal. I knew that was going to take off. I thought it was going to be incredible, just like men's physique. And along the way, just like anything else, football athletes, baseball players, the athletes develop more.
Yes.
They train harder, they lift harder, they have better supplementation, they live a lifestyle different. And of course, that division is going to change a little bit because of the whole atmosphere outside of the auditorium, right, in the gym. So I think bikini has become so competitive, and the physiques have just totally changed to where now Fit Model fills that void of the original bikini. And I think it's going to be really good. I think once the ladies understand what we're looking for, that it's going to be a very, very fast growing division. I think it has a little bit of pains right now, but once we see who turns pro and the pro level and what these girls really look like, I think that's going to really motivate a lot of people. Because some of the girls in bikini kind of felt out of place because they didn't have all that muscle, and they weren't able to put on that kind of muscle. So it really fills a big gap, I think.
More beautiful girls on the stage.
It can't hurt. That's a great marketing thing, isn't it?
Dreams come true.
Yes. Hey, just like the good-looking guys for the ladies, you know, those men's some of my first year I did the pro men's physique. I'm looking at these guys going, "Are we filming a movie?" They looked like movie stars. These guys were so buff, so good-looking. It was absolutely incredible.
So, what's the biggest challenge when organizing a show?
The biggest challenge is really as personally, I can't speak for everybody, is we have a hard time sometimes locking in our venue. These venues don't want to give you your date a year ahead of time. So you're trying to say, okay, we're going to be at this venue on this date, and we're trying to market it and try to get it out there, and we're waiting for the managers of the venue to say, okay, yes, you can have it. I mean, we didn't have that problem 15 years ago. But now with the economy or whatever, they just don't want to commit to us that far out. And you're limited sometimes, depending on where you live, on the size of your city, what venues you make available. We want to make sure we have the best available venue for the competitors. Give them the best opportunity to show themselves on stage in a quality auditorium with stadium seating, where everyone in the audience can see them well, and they can have the best opportunity to show their physiques and get great photography and video from you guys like you do. You know, we love having you do what you do, and showcase them. You know, especially with all this social media stuff now, right? You want to give that opportunity to the athlete, and you also use it yourself, right, to promote the next show, the next year. So, but that to me, the biggest challenge really was that. And then, you know, depending on where you live and the gym you go to, or the community that you're in that works out, having some people to help you out. Because it takes a village to put a show on, you know, and the volunteers, the people that volunteer, the people that you have to hire to do certain things with expediting and watch the doors and security and all that adds up. So getting quality people with great personalities who are going to transfer that to the competitors, make them feel comfortable, at ease, so we get the best out of them and make it a positive experience once again. So guess what? We don't want to lose them. We want them to do another show. We want them to keep growing. We want them to say, hey, buddy, I just did this show. You need to do it next time. You need to try this. This was a great experience for me. Whether they keep going on to become pro or it's a bucket list, you know?
Why I asked? Because I think this is very important to understand what happened inside, you know, inside the organizing.
Yes. Yeah.
This show. It's a very hard job.
It can be, yeah, especially when you have a full-time job. You know, this is what I do for a living. This is my fun thing, right? It's not a hobby, but it's a part-time job, more so. When you're trying to sell tickets, get the venues, get all the trophies, all the prizes, try to keep everything fresh, right? Keep everything as good as possible, and then being able to have people to rely on, you know, to help you, to have your back, or can help you pick up the slack where you're lacking sometimes.
What do you think? What kind of team do you need to run an excellent show?
No, just you need people that have the same passion for the sport that you do. I do not, and I will not work with or hire anyone or bring anybody in who doesn't want to be there and doesn't love the sport. I don't want you. I don't even want you to watch it. You know, I'll buy your ticket back from you. I want people that are positive and they're going to enjoy what they see in front of them and be able to help out and do it in any way possible. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's standing at the door or lining people up and yelling people's numbers to get in line. You know.
What qualities do you think make a true champion?
In my personal opinion, I think the only thing that really held me back was support. I didn't have a very good support structure behind me. I was really kind of like one of the only people in Daytona Beach that was a competitor. We had one guy who had turned pro, but he didn't really kind of circulate with us at where I worked out in other gyms and didn't make himself available. He was always doing photo shoots and cover stuff with his girlfriend, who was also a competitor. But other than that, I didn't have the people in the gym that would help out, the sponsorships. I was working that was in the early 90s. So I was working as a paramedic, and long hours and trying to find my way into the gym, make those hours count and things like that. And because of those challenges financially in the rest of my life, I couldn't be totally dedicated into what I was doing. And, and it was a little different too, because like I said, only 8 people a year got a pro card, basically, So you had to be on top of your game, back then to do that. And if you weren't the best of the best, I was fortunate locally. I never lost the bodybuilding show. I always came in first, and I made the top 5 multiple times at national level shows. But that little extra is needed to be totally committed. You got to have that support structure behind you.
How do you support for new athletes?
Well, I think new athletes. How do I support them?
Yeah.
I think the best way is doing things like this, right? We have the posing seminars. We have all these free posing seminars that we put out there to help them so they better prepared for the first time they step on stage, which is a great thing with a true novice class, right? There you go. Tyler and Jim come up with this. Let's do a true novice class. First timers. Beautiful. Great thing. Take the pressure off them a little bit, Several times we've had true novice go on to win the overalls though too. So, there ain't no pressure on them. I mean, they're just that good. I'm always available. My phone, text, email, at shows, being able to if people have a question about what they need to do, prepare or whatever, they can come to me being an official with the NPC and the IFBB. If I don't know the answer, I know who to call to get the answer for them. So, and basically it's just hoping that the passion that I have kind of oozes and they absorb some of that and that helps them as well.
Thank you for this opportunity for athletes. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's worth it, whether we are fortunate to make some money or we lose a little bit of money. It's about the passion, about giving back to the athletes, and to me that's I want that passion to be shared and carried on. That's part of our legacy, right? As we get older now, I'm not the 27-year-old bodybuilder I was when I first stepped on stage, right? Holy cow!
That's cool. What do you think is the future of bodybuilding?
I think Tyler and Jim are doing a great job with advancements, with the addition of the feedback. Right. They're listening. Tyler listens to people, he's got his finger on the pulse of the community, and he's listening and changing things and stuff like that. I think one of the things they just came out with was an email about the men's physique guys doing bodybuilding poses and stuff. Hey, listen, you do men's physique. You're not hitting double biceps. You want to do double biceps? Do classic or do bodybuilding. Just things like that. He's bringing some organization, the really good order to the community, and he's listening to people. And the addition of the fit model, the addition to wellness, all those other divisions that he's created, the classic. I mean, come on, this sport is going to keep growing.
Thank you, Tyler and Jimmy.
No, most definitely.
Yeah, for our big family.
Oh, huge family, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh my God.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you don't see somebody, then you go to Georgia or Kentucky, and you see Mo, you see all these other people, and the hugs, and it's it's real. There's nothing. It's all transparent. We see through. We know it.
What do you think? How can we bring more people into our sport?
I think everyone's doing a good job doing that. With the social media now, with what you're doing, the podcast and the advertising that we do, and like Serge and everybody else, and Gary Udit and all those guys, I think we're doing a pretty good job. I don't know what else we really can do other than having a mainstream network, take us in like we used to be on TV all the time on the Sunshine Network when Steve Stone had Stonecutter Promotions, and we were on the Sunshine Network and ESPN. I was showing, someone sent me a video from '97 at the Nationals when it was on ESPN and Linda Murray was narrating and stuff, and that was big back then. I think that's about the only thing. Is the next step is try to make it more mainstream. I mean, and with Fit Model, with bikini, men's physique and classic, it's got a great look that people think they can attain and step on that stage and do it.
What do you think? So the social media is help?
Well, yeah, I think double-edged sword, right? There's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
And the people don't know what's real and what's not. I mean, just like there's a guy on Instagram, the Goop, and he shows people who they've altered their pictures and they tighten this up, made this bigger and stuff. He calls them out. And these are influencers and stuff like that. A lot of bad information. People putting out posing videos that who aren't officials or judges. And they're telling people the wrong thing. We have the NPC with JM and Tyler and Frank with the NPC News Online. They're getting more content out. They're allowing us to do more official NPC, IFBB, official posing seminars. Take advantage of that. Be careful of everything that you watch.
Yeah.
Right? Because an amateur bikini competitor isn't posing the same as a pro. A lot less time. A lot less flair, right? It's more bare bones in the NPC, the amateur level, because we have to get these competitors in on that stage, show them up, and then move them on and judge, right? The pros, we have a little bit more time, and they have more time to walk around, do that kind of stuff. Even the bodybuilders have more time to pose. So I think, social media, internet is great, but be careful. Get the information from the right person. Reach out to your district chairperson, like Tony, promoters like myself, judges like myself. If, as I said, if I don't know the answer, I just pick up the phone and I call Pittsburgh, and I get the answer within 15 minutes.
Where's your next show?
September 27th, Daytona Beach, the Daytona Pro-Am.
Okay, so where is our followers can watch him?
TV PLM. Serge is gonna do the live stream.
Okay.
You guys doing the photography and the video, yeah. They want to get tickets. They just go to NPC shows Florida, NPCFloridashows.com or NPCDBC.com, and they can get tickets there. They can reach out to me personally if they have any questions on my Instagram pages, on the Facebook pages. But it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a really good show.
Yes, guys, please watch.
I mean, I think it's going to be
amazing.
I think it's going to be a battle. I think there's going to be some surprise people step on that stage. Last year we had in the first call out of bikini, we had 5 Olympians, 5 past and qualified Olympians on that stage in the first call out, and pretty close. I think pretty much the same thing in the men's physique. So it's exciting. I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
What do you want athletes to feel after your shows?
Exhilaration, being just excitement, thinking back. Wow, I was so scared about this, but my gosh, I love this. I can't wait to do the next one. This was so good. I got to tell everybody they have to try this. Yeah, I mean, that's what I want. I want those people to fall in love with the sport. Yeah, they can be infatuated with
beautiful.
It could be they could be an infatuation.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it could be an infatuation, but I really prefer love.
What's your personal goal in the world of bodybuilding?
Oh, I want to be the next Vince McMahon when it comes to promoting shows. No, I'm just joking. I just want to continue to put a product together that people are proud to be part of, and just continue to enjoy and love what I do. It's never felt as much stress as you're under the last couple of days or whatever it is to getting ready for a show and at a show and stuff like that, trying to make sure everything is right. I mean, from the judges having donuts and coffee to food being ordered and all this stuff and the lights and the trophies and everything being perfect. It's just the stress doesn't get me, because I know the final product is going to be so good, and it's going to touch so many people and open so many avenues for people to do things that they never thought they can do before.
If you tell about this process, I'm interested how many days you need preparing before your show.
364. It starts,
No rest.
It starts the day after.
No rest.
Actually, it starts the day of. I mean, you start seeing things that maybe you can do differently. I mean, but, basically, once we have our state meeting and we have our dates set and everything, everything's already rolling. You're already working on your new logos for the next year. You're just waiting for the date to be confirmed. You're making sure that, do we have any new divisions this year? Do we have to add something else? What else do we need to learn to be able to communicate to the athletes and provide to the athletes? So it's 365.
So, can you make some recommendations for new athletes?
Like we said before, social media was great, but there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
That's one, right? The biggest thing, in my opinion, is they need to go to a show in person. They need to experience that energy and that excitement for themselves, especially during prejudging, right? Where that's when the nuts and bolts of it all take place. The comparisons and the call-outs and the moving the competitors around and stuff and watching the energy on stage. They need to do that. And if they do that as well, don't be afraid to come up to the officials, to the judges, when the prejudging is done, or before the finals or after the finals, and ask questions of the judges or the promoter that you're interested in. You may want to do that. We always tell the story at the posing seminars that probably at least 3 or 4 people that do the show the next year were in the audience the year before and said, you know what, I want to try that. I think I can do that. It's a bucket list. It's a challenge. It's a weight loss thing. It's my son's doing it. I'm gonna do it. So basically, don't be afraid to come to the people that do it to get the right information.
So, what about posing? Posing on the stage.
Posing is everything.
Posing is everything.
It's everything.
Guys.
How many people I can't tell you how many people have lost a position, a class, a division because they weren't posing properly. They didn't take advantage of the seminars that we offer. They don't open their back up. They got their hands too high. The presentation isn't as stellar as it should be. They don't practice it. I mean, back in the day when I was when I was a competitor, just like Bill, when you had Bill on, it's an art form for us. How many best poser awards have we won? That was a big thing. After each set or each combination of exercises, boom, we're doing side chest, we're doing our poses, we're working on it. The more you pose, the better the muscle fibers get, the better the conditioning gets. You can't wait till you're a month out. You got to start doing it. I don't care. You look terrible in the mirror a year out. So what? Just hit the poses. It comes second nature. I can get up there right now after not competing for so long and still pop out every single pose. And it'll be, my physique will be perfect, but the pose will be.
Yeah, you can build good body.
I don't have that 24-inch waist anymore and the 30-inch quads. It's reversed now. I'm 30-inch waist and 24-inch quads.
Yeah, guys, and you need to understand, you can build good body, but
gotta show
you can't show.
You can't judge you. We say that competitor is going to have incredible potential, but unfortunately, we can't award him a victory today because he's not showing. We know it's there, but he ain't showing it. The lats ain't coming. He's too far open, too much air being shown. He's not at the right position. It's so important.
Yeah, you're right.
And when we give, I can tell you when I give my critiques, I start off with the positives, right? But then right after that, 95% of the time, it's posing and presentation before I even get to the body parts that they got to work on. And it's a shame to think that something so basic is is just not considered important by some people. You know, and most people have coaches now, and it's still not the number one thing. You know,
Whose will be first? Who is will good body, or who is will so body but he's good poser?
you know, it's you always you judge what's in front of you, right? If the guy who's got a good body is so posing, but the guy with the so body has good posing, it's a bodybuilding show after all. So most likely, if he's showing us everything that he needs to show us, even though the posing isn't stellar, that person will probably win. But if he's not showing it properly, and the other guy is showing parts that look better at that time, you know, it's about what we're seeing. You know, it's the hypothetical is hard to really give you an answer for, because just like today, this morning, there was a couple of those instances there where, you know, but you know, the majority of the time, the better physique will shine. It all depends how close it is, you know.
Okay, guys,
That can make
if
a
you
big
wanna be champion, you need do posing, you need do your workout, you need do your every meals,
The nutrition, yeah, it's part of it. You can't. It's like if you're coming full circle, right? And you take that slice out, what happens? You stop. You don't come full circle.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's all part of it.
yeah. You're right. So, what has been your proudest moment as a promoter?
Gosh, I mean, every show is a proud moment. You know, I would say probably when being awarded the opportunity to become a promoter, that was a very proud moment to me. Then when Jim and Tyler allowed me to have the pro show, was another super proud moment. Knowing that somebody that won your show got their pro card. You know, we call the Daytona Pro the Pro Card Highway. We've had probably, I don't know about the Northeast, you know, NPC Northeast, but probably in Florida, we probably had close to the most people turn pro who have either won our overall or won their division, even or second place even at the show, and probably turned the most people pro eventually, and then to that next level. So I think that's one of my proudest moments, watching someone's dreams come true at the next level and getting that pro card and getting that Olympia bid. You know, it's really not a personal thing. It's once again, it's watching the competitors and the athletes.
So, how many athletes you had in Daytona Pro Show?
This past year, in 2024, I believe we had about over 300. We had
A lot of people.
Oh yeah, we had over 100 amateurs, and with the pro masters and the open pros, I was at least over 300. I forget. I didn't really look at the total number. I'm so busy looking at everything else. I get lost in a number sometime, you know, because it's mind-boggling. I mean, I think we had people from 18 different countries. Right? I mean, how cool is that? I mean, that's phenomenal, you know? From far away as Alaska. And that's in the amateur part. That wasn't even a pro. That was an amateur coming from Alaska to Florida to be part of the Daytona Beach Classic. So that's exciting. But we had people from Japan, pros from Japan and Russia and Hungary and Italy and Brazil. And so, I mean, it's just phenomenal. I love it.
I wish you for this year plus 100, 200 people for your Daytona Pro Show.
We shoot for it. We're always going for it, you know. But times have changed a little bit. That there's so many shows almost every weekend that if a person doesn't seem like they're right and not peaking properly, they move on to the next show the next weekend or 2 weekends delay. So that it's harder to get to those bigger 200 plus numbers. But we do pretty good. You know, so whatever we get, we're happy to have.
Please, guys, welcome to Daytona Pro Show, and please watching
The live stream.
The
live stream, right?
Yes.
Got to go to Surge, tvplm.com.
Yes, and
watch,
you.
and not just the pros. Watch the NPC competitors. I mean, I'm telling you, like when we had Sunny Andrews come, Daytona was her very first show. She won True Novice. She won Novice.
Oh my
She
God.
won Open. She won the overall.
Enjoy.
And then what she do next? She went to the first pro qualifier, turned pro, and then next thing you know is she wins a pro show and she's in the Olympia. I mean, that's like a daddy moment, you know? It's like you're so proud. You're a parent of that person watching them grow all the way into that. But that's what we
Amazing.
love. That's what we love.
Thank you for this conversation.
Oh, thank
Mike.
you. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. Please continue your promoting.
I will
You're
do what I
amazing.
can.
You're amazing. You give the good opportunity for all athletes.
I do my best. I just hope my passion shows through. That's the big thing.
Thank you so much.
Hope it's contagious.
It was a super promoter, Mike Matassa.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure. I love being here. I love doing this kind of stuff. Please watch all of Christina's podcast. It's going to be phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
And Bill, I watched you last week. I saw you.